A shadow, tall and thin, stood behind Emma in her family photographs, just barely peeking out. It wasn't Emma's shadow. It was something else entirely, always there, like a secret whisper. This story, called The Clue It Wanted Me to Find, tells us that sometimes bad things don't hide. Oh no, sometimes they want you to find their tracks, like a game. People usually think that scary things cover their messes, but the very oldest predators, the ones that have been around for a long, long time, they don't hide. They just trick you into looking in the wrong place. Or they leave little trails, not by accident, but because they know who will follow. There was a lady named Madison Kelly. For almost 6 whole years, she worked with her camera, taking pictures at places where sad things happened, like burnt houses or places where people went missing or bad accidents. She saw things most people would try to forget forever and ever. Her job taught her something super important. Everything leaves a trace. Everything. Except, well, this thing she found. It was different. It all started in a tiny town called Ash Hollow. It was way up in the big mountains and only had 812 people. It had a church, a gas station, a small grocery store, and a school, but too many empty houses. The grown-ups there said the town was dying, and they weren't wrong. Stores closed up, families left, and people started to change. Not in a big, fast way, but just a little bit. Neighbors got quieter, teachers forgot children's names, and husbands and wives stopped laughing together. Their smiles looked, well, practiced, like they were pretending. It felt like everyone had just lost a piece of themselves and didn't know where it went. Then the first person died. The doctor said it was his heart. He was only 38 and perfectly healthy. He just fell over while eating dinner. They couldn't find anything bad inside him. Nothing. Then another person died, a stroke. He was 42 and perfectly healthy too. Then a teenage girl just never woke up. The doctors just shook their heads and called it a coincidence. The smart math people said it was just probability. The town blamed all the worry. But Madison, she didn't blame anything. Not yet. Madison was only in Ash Hollow because her little sister, Emma, had started teaching at the elementary school. Emma loved Ash Hollow. She said it felt so peaceful and safe and quiet. But then Emma stopped calling Madison back. When Madison finally drove all the way there, Emma met her with the biggest smile Madison had ever seen. But it wasn't Emma's smile. It fit her face, but not her eyes. Emma said, "You worried too much. I'm happier than I've ever been." But Emma didn't laugh once, not a real laugh, for 3 whole days. Madison knew something was really, truly wrong. The clue showed up on Madison's second morning. Emma was making coffee, and the sunlight streamed through the window. Everything looked perfectly normal, until Madison saw the family photographs. In every single picture, Emma was smiling. Birthdays, graduations, Christmas, vacations, every single one. But that wasn't weird. What was weird was the shadow. Not Emma's shadow, but a shadow behind her in every single photograph, from every year, from every age. The shadow stood just a tiny bit closer each time, but that's impossible, right? It should have moved or changed or gone away. Instead, it was always there, the exact same height, the exact same shape, just barely hidden so you wouldn't really see it unless you looked super close. Madison asked Emma about it. Emma just laughed and said, "I don't see anything. No one else saw it either. Not the sheriff, not the neighbors, not even the person who took some of the pictures. Only Madison." Madison made the pictures bigger. She changed the light. She made the dark parts darker. The shadow became clearer. It was tall and thin, almost human. Its head was tilted a little bit, like it was watching, always watching. Finally, Madison called some people who looked for ghosts, not because she believed in ghosts, but because she couldn't think of any other way to explain it. 4 days later, they arrived. There was Professor Ellis, who used to be a mind doctor, and Grace, who knew all about old stories. There was Father Donovan, a priest, and Theo, who never said what he did. They looked at the photographs. The room got super quiet for a long, long time. Then Grace whispered, "It left you a marker." Madison said, "I found it." But Grace shook her head. "No," she said. "It allowed you to." The room suddenly felt very cold. Professor Ellis explained, "Most scary things hide," he said. "Some just feed, but a very small number." And he paused. "They hunt." He continued, "Hunters don't erase clues. They put them there on purpose." Madison frowned. Why? She asked. So you'll notice, he said. Why would it want that? Madison wondered. No one answered. Instead, Theo asked a question, who found the photographs first? I did, Madison said. Exactly, Theo replied. He looked really worried. Grace quietly took out a very old leather book. Inside were stories written by hand from almost 200 years ago, from different towns, in different countries, in different languages. Every story ended the same way. Someone found a clue no one else could see. They became obsessed, and then they disappeared. One phrase showed up over and over again, the parking place. Father Donovan sighed. I was hoping it wasn't this, he said. He told them about an old saying ghost hunters used, not because it sounded like science, but because they couldn't think of anything better. A parking place, he explained. When a thing cannot go inside the person it wants, it goes inside someone nearby, he said. Like parking your car right next to the house you want to go into. It waits, it watches, and when the right time comes, it moves. Madison laughed, not because it was funny, but because the other choice was just too impossible. You expect me to believe, she started. Theo cut her off. No, he said. We expect you to survive. That night, Madison couldn't sleep. Emma was downstairs reading, still smiling, never blinking enough. At 2:13 in the morning, Madison heard footsteps above her, from the attic. But there wasn't an attic door, not yesterday. Now a folding ladder hung from the hallway ceiling. It was already down. Madison climbed up. Dust, old boxes, fuzzy insulation, nothing strange, until her flashlight beam found the far wall. Someone had written her name, not scratched it or painted it. Written in dust, fresh dust, Madison. Beneath it, just one sentence, you finally looked up. The flashlight slipped from her hand. Darkness swallowed the attic. Someone was breathing beside her, not behind her, beside her. When Madison found the flashlight again, the writing had changed. Almost ready. She ran. The ghost hunters believed her right away. None of them looked surprised, just, well, disappointed. Grace quietly started putting her books away. It's choosing, she said. Choosing what? Madison asked. You, Grace replied. But why can't it simply... Madison started. Professor Ellis answered. It tried, he said. What? Madison gasped. The photographs, he explained. It wasn't showing itself. It was testing if you could see it. You passed. Madison remembered every sad place she'd photographed, every shadow she couldn't explain, every weird reflection, every time she felt like someone was watching her. What if, she whispered, this isn't the first time? Nobody spoke. Then Theo quietly said, I don't think Ash Hollow was where it found you. I think it finally caught up. That made Madison feel hollow inside. It hadn't started here. It had followed her, so patiently, for years, maybe even decades, just waiting. Emma suddenly screamed downstairs. It was the first real sound of emotion Madison had heard from her in days. They rushed into the living room. Emma stood facing the mirror, still smiling, but tears were pouring down her face. It's leaving, she whispered. The smile stayed on her face, but her voice shook. It's leaving me. Every mirror in the house went dark at the same time. Not black, but super deep, like it went on forever. Shapes moved inside every reflection. Not reflections, but people. Hundreds of them. Standing there silently. Watching. Then, one by one, they all turned to look at Madison. Emma fell down. Her smile disappeared instantly. She looked tired. Human. Free. Behind her, something stood. Not in the room. In the mirror. It smiled. Using Madison's reflection. You don't belong there. Theo shouted. He smashed the mirror. But it didn't matter. The reflection stayed, floating in the broken glass, still smiling. Then it spoke, not out loud, but inside Madison's thoughts. You cannot hold me, but you can lead me. Everything suddenly made sense. The clue, the photographs, the attic, the writing, the shadows. None of it had been proof. It had been a trail, not leading Madison to it, but leading it to Madison. The ghost hunters had gotten one thing wrong. They thought Madison was where it wanted to go. She wasn't. She was the key. It couldn't get inside her. Something about her, her mind, her will, her belief, or maybe just pure luck, kept it out. But it didn't need to be inside her. It only needed to stay close, like a car waiting outside a building, engine running, patient, watching every door, waiting for someone else to leave so it could take their spot. Emma had never been the one it wanted. She had been the parking place, and now she was empty, which meant the thing was closer to Madison than ever before. Not inside her, but right beside her, waiting. That was 3 years ago. Emma got better. The deaths stopped. Ash Hollow slowly went back to normal. The ghost hunters thought the case was all closed up, but Madison knows better. Every few weeks, someone near her changes. A cashier, a person she works with, someone on a train, a stranger at a coffee shop. They smile a little too long. They tilt their head. They watch her without blinking. Then, a few days later, they're gone. Another person shows up. Another host. Another parking place. Always close enough that Madison can feel it watching, but never close enough that anyone else notices. She stopped trying to destroy it. She stopped trying to understand it. She only counts how long each host lasts. The quickest one was only 4 hours. The longest was 8 months. It never stays. It never settles down. It only waits, which means it's still looking, still hoping, still believing that one day whatever keeps Madison safe from it will finally break. If this story gave you shivers, share it with someone who loves a good mystery.